Good morning. This is the first press briefing in the new administration. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Without further ado, the first speaker in the first press briefing in the new administration will be the Deputy Prime Minister. His portfolio largely remains intact with the addition, I think, of Consumer Affairs and Commerce. So he will clarify that further, and if you have any questions relevant to his ministry, of course, he's at your disposal. So, Deputy Prime Minister.
Well, thank you very much. As indicated by Riani, it's the first cabinet press briefing after the swearing-in of ministers on Friday. So basically, I think I'll probably make a general comment as it relates to tourism, and I'll allow you to ask questions, whatever you may wish to ask. I should also indicate that it's going to be, Cabinet will take a break until January 5th. So we're meeting today. The new Cabinet members have been given their orientation right now in terms of Cabinet procedures, in terms of the expectations of them as ministers. So you can imagine it's their first Cabinet meeting, so they've been thoroughly oriented now by the Prime Minister and by the Cabinet Secretary. And they will, in a sense, get us an understanding of what's expected of them as Cabinet ministers. And then, of course, we'll take a break until the first Monday in January when work actually starts. Cabinet today will also approve the VAT-free day, the details of the VAT-free day, which will be approved by Parliament tomorrow, because Parliament will also be convened tomorrow. So that basically is what's happening today. So I don't know whether you want to ask any questions on the composition of Cabinet. The Prime Minister did, in his presentation on Friday, explain the rationale for it, but you didn't get a chance to ask any specific questions. And to the extent that I can provide clarity, I will do so, and to maybe provide any further explanations that you would require. And then, of course, I want to highlight, probably you would have seen on social media, and I think you will be getting, and San can probably share with you, the arrival numbers for November. Every month we speak of the arrival numbers. A lot had been said about tourism in St. Lucia, whatnot. I'm really pleased to announce that November 2025 was actually the best November in history for St. Lucia. We saw the highest number of arrivals for November. And like I said, he will print out or circulate. I will share with him the document with all the details on the arrival numbers. And again, I want to put it in context. That's at a time when we even have a decrease in room stock available with the closure of the free hotels on Ridgeway Beach. But of course, as you know, Secrets is now fully operational after its reopening during the summer. And we're looking forward to a winter, of increased arrivals. We're seeing a slight increase in our airlift as well, and that augurs quite well for us. In January, we will see the opening of Lifeco at Montpimad, which again will be a very significant addition to our tourism product, with the wellness sector, getting quite a boost with the opening of Lifeco. And you will be provided with greater details as to the Lifeco property and what it would offer. And, I'm certainly looking forward to 2026 as a very transformational year for tourism in St. Lucia. For my part, I expect for us to have an expansion in our community tourism efforts. A lot has been achieved, but we're really looking forward to taking off next year with quite a bit of community products coming online. We will see the completion of the GPH projects, the boardwalk on the waterfront, the Bannans Bay redevelopment. We will revisit it, and I think we will revisit it with greater vigor in the new year to ensure that the project is completed. The Soufrière waterfront will also be seen an acceleration of works. So we're really looking forward to 2026 for our tourism sector. And, we announced in our manifesto the establishment of an Orange Economy unit for the creative sector. So you can expect to hear quite a lot about the creative sector in St. Lucia. Creative industries getting a tremendous boost for the next few years. Of course, commerce is now part of the portfolios that I hold. It means Export St. Lucia is now part of it. So the entire brand St. Lucia infrastructure falls under one minister now. So you will see Export St. Lucia expanding its role and its activities. We have a particular interest in Export St. Lucia, working with the creative industries to take St. Lucia's creative sector globally. And you will see a lot of action taking place in that regard. In early January, we'll be formally announcing the jazz lineup. And from all that I've heard, and it's going to be quite an exciting lineup. And I think somewhere in mid-January, we'll be announcing the lineup. Already we've announced 2 artists, Thames, and another artist. And that's going to be exciting. Some of the carnival bands are getting ready to launch their offerings for 2026. So we're expecting Carnival 2026 to be even bigger than 2025. And 2025 was big. So I ask all St. Lucians to look forward to a very, very exciting year in 2026. So, questions from you?
Commerce Ministry, what are you hoping to change and what are you looking forward as a Minister for Commerce?
I think I haven't really gotten all my briefings yet. I meet the ministry tomorrow in terms of the permanent secretary to get a status report on the various programs that the ministry has been working on. But I can tell you that our government is very clear. We spent the last 4.5 years during our first term with a very clear clarion call to put the people first. You would have noted that for the election campaign, our slogan was moving forward together. And it tells you the shift we are taking. Not that putting the people first is of any lesser importance, but we believe we need to bring the country a lot more together to break down some of the division and the divisiveness and the separation that we feel in our country. We believe we have a golden opportunity to build on the successes that we've had and for us to be able to take St. Lucia to an even higher plane, higher levels of achievement. And we want all St. Lucians to take that journey with us, all St. Lucians to take that journey with us. So we'll be issuing that call, and that will be a repeated theme of ours. We are putting people first, and we want to move forward together. Now, if you translate that to commerce, you would have seen some of the successes in the Ministry of Commerce as it relates to small, micro, and medium enterprises. We believe this is a tremendous opportunity for us to take the work that Minister Hippolyte started to an even higher level with a very determined focus on building the small business sector in St. Lucia. So we need to step back and look at what are the obstacles to getting more St. Lucians to start their business and to invest in this country. We've seen the successes of the youth economy, but that's up to a certain age grade range, is for a certain demographic. Let us look at the successes of the SSME grant loan facility, and let us start removing the institutional and the regulatory and the legislative barriers to getting St. Lucians to get small businesses started. And you will see certainly, as Minister of Commerce, we focusing intensely on the ease of doing business in St. Lucia. Let's remove those barriers. Let's create an enabling environment in St. Lucia where St. Lucians feel confident that the government supports them to get businesses going. And where businesses are facing challenges, how government can support them to do so. And you will see that in tourism. You will see it spread into manufacturing. You will see it spread into the creative sector. So the whole aim, and for me, the high-level focus will be how we can create an enabling environment that can support more and more St. Lucians owning their businesses and starting their businesses. And I think for me, at this stage, is a very clear philosophical direction that we'll be taking.
a lot of said was well in the campaign last year about the CIP. I mean, and I recently saw the interview with the chairman giving a clear indication. What are your thoughts on how do you see the CIP going forward? What was being said?
Well, I mean, you know, it was quite revealing, the response of St. Lucians. I mean, we went through a very bitter and intense, you know, period of attack our CIP in St. Lucia. The opposition went all out to convince St. Lucians that there was corruption, there was mismanagement. They brought in Martinez, they brought in Rejoc, and they went all out to destroy our CIP for obvious reasons. And I've said it before on the platform, and I will say it again. The opposition was frightened of our CIP becoming a success in St. Lucia because of the impact it would have had on the country. It meant more resources for housing, more resources for, you know, road development, for bridges. They did not want that to happen because if it had happened, they feared the worst would have come. They still saw the worst. Well, almost the worst. They got one seat. But that was their plan. And in the process, what they did was to really hurt the reputation of St. Lucia, hurt the reputation of St. Lucia. So in the coming period, and one of the first things we will do, not at the sitting tomorrow, we're going to release the operational audit report. We're going to release the annual report, the financial statements of CIP, so we will be up to date on all those documents. And St. Lucians will see it for what it is. I mean, we then now still have to deal with the international reputation of St. Lucia because those things were being published all over the world. All over the world. I mean, persons like myself got my name, you know, really, you know, battered and my reputation tarnished over it because that was their plan. We now need to forget, you know, the reputation and the name, whatnot, you know, but the country's reputation is most important. So we've made changes at the last sitting in Parliament where we've almost gone back to where we were in 2016. We have strengthened our CIP beyond what any other country has in this region, beyond annual quota, net worth, all those things we've brought back into the CIP in St. Lucia. And we now need to tell that story to the world, that you see all what you heard by the opposition, why it was being done, and where we are now in actuality. In actuality. Forget all the shouting. The time for shouting is over. The people have made their judgment and their decision. Here is the reality of what exists in St. Lucia. Because we believe our CIP can serve a very useful purpose. We believe it can bring tremendous benefit to this country. And we will continue to sell that message and open ourselves to scrutiny. We also changed the legislation to allow the board that's going to be appointed to be a more diverse board, bringing in varying talent. So we will appoint a new board under that new legislation. And for us to tell a story, and for St. Lucians to actually see more and more the impact that the CIP has had. And we just need to continue. And I'm sure, you know, the CIP will continue to make a significant contribution to the development of St. Lucia. Yeah, the report is virtually available. Of course, like I said, not tomorrow, but at the next sitting, we will table it. And you will see, again, all the lies that were expressed. But the thing about the opposition, and they're still not learning their lessons, you know, is that it was such obvious, you know, distortion and misinformation. It's so obvious. And I said it in the last, see my presentation in the House, when I really exposed that the leader of the opposition, everything he's complaining about, he did it. He's the one who set it up and caused it. But I don't even want to go down that road. I'm not going to fight yesterday's battle. We've won that battle convincingly. I ain't going to fight it anymore. So we're going to look to the future to tell St. Lucians have confidence. St. Lucians saw what this government delivered in 4.5 years, and they said, look, we're giving you another term to continue your good work. What we're going to say to them, we're not going to just continue the good work. We're going to intensify and expand and increase the good work that we did. Because I honestly believe the next 5 years in St. Lucia will probably be our 5 most glorious years. And that's what we're going to deliver to the people of St. Lucia.
social and economic review, which is somehow suggests, well, I think it suggests that there's going to be a 1.4, 1.5% increase, which is down from 4%.
4.7.
How do you juxtapose that against the wonderful figures that you're expecting this year?
Well, wonderful figures in terms of what the tourism arrivals or overall?
I guess spearheading the economic attack, but generally.
Well, I'll wait in early part of next year when the figures are actually tabulated. I mean, these are projected figures, so I'm going to wait to see, because if you notice the final figures for this year is way higher than what was projected for last year. So I mean, and those things do happen. So I'm going to wait to see it. But I will say though, that the capacity for project implementation in this country has to be addressed, because quite a number of projects we expected to have started this year have not started. In fact, in January, we'll have the groundbreaking for the Grand Hyatt in Shabusha in Roselle in January. That should have started, months ago. The project at Point Seraphine had been stalled almost for the entire year. It has to get started. The project at Pope site, the Rodney Bay City Center, did not start until later. So the number of projects that never even got started, the Uranora International Airport redevelopment, the new terminal, did not get started this year. So they actually have had a number of projects that did not get started. And we now need to push for the implementation of a number of projects in St. Lucia. So Isla Development Mount Pimad is really moving at pace, but the Redry Beach, 3 new hotels on Redry Beach is expected to start early next year. So again, there are a number of projects, like I would repeat, did not get started when we expected them to get started. And we have to find a way to enhance the capacity of this country to implement projects, certainly at a higher rate than we do right now.
I'm happy you brought up the Point Seraphine that seems to have been dormant for the better part of
this
the
year.
year, at least. What is the status? What is the situation with that?
Well, we're expecting it to start after the season. They are mobilizing and getting their arrangements in place for them to do so. There are issues with the arrangements, not on our side, on the developer side. And I think the developer has to, with some of the changes that have taken place globally, they have to ensure that the financing is in place to complete it. They had some issues with the contractor. The financing is coming out of Europe, and there have been changes as to, what exactly is possible. And they've given us the assurance that they will start, and we facilitated, as a government, the approvals necessary for them to get their concessions for them to resume. And like I said, there are a couple of other projects too that we just need to get going. And hopefully in the new year, they will be starting.
Afternoon, Minister. I know since we're in the festive season, I know this past weekend it was Catherine House and Children's Christmas.
Yes, yes.
I don't know if you just wanted to mention.
Yeah. I mean, it's a tradition of ours. And in Castro we actually have 5 children's parties, but with elections and the time period we have between now and Christmas, we decided to have just one single children's party, which was yesterday. I think it was a huge event. I mean, it was quite a challenge, but I mean, the young people certainly enjoyed themselves. As to whether we will do it again in that format, I'm not sure. I think I kind of preferred, as much as it takes 5 days of effort, but not having to deal with 900 plus children, is quite a challenge. And when you add the parents in between, I can tell you it's not an easy logistical feat to do. But it was a fantastic one. This Friday we have our Christmas solo night in Bassa Joseph, which is always a very special event, and I invite all of you to come to Bassa Joseph. If you've never been to a solo in your life, you really should come to a solo and enjoy solo night with some of the best solo bands in St. Lucia. It is something we do annually. This year we won't do our black cake and sorrel competition. We just don't have the time. Our red door competition, where we encourage residents to decorate their doors in red and Christmas themes, we won't do it this year because
Christmas?
yeah, in Christmas. The red is Christmas. Yeah. So we won't do it this year because, again, like I said, the elections really put off stuff. So we will plan for that for next year. And come next year too, you'll see in Castries South, we're doing a lot more soft skills, soft programming, more sports development programs, skills training programs, conflict resolution programs, parenting programs. I think we're going to do a lot more of those kinds. Music, the Cicero Combined School, for example, they've set up a new IT room. They now set up a music room. So the school will be hosting a lot of those programs. We're going to be buying instruments, for all the kids so they can start learning music. We'll start a music program in the community. We're hoping we can start a studio in Fuasho. So, some of the best soca artists around come from Fuasho, and we'll probably start a studio in Fuasho. So you'll see that kind of shift taking place. We're going to start our new community center in Cicero, our new health center in Cicero. There's a lot that's going to happen in the constituency to continue the work that we've started. We've done quite a lot of work in terms of the road infrastructure, and drains and steps and whatnot. So I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a really exciting period over the next few years.
Listen, you want to just clarify Mr. John Paul's role in the ministry? What exactly will he do? What is expected of him? How will the two of you work in the ministry?
Yeah. We're still defining the contours of that. You will notice that in the case of Honorable Harak Singh, Senator the Honorable Harak Singh, and Honorable John Paul, they are ministers in the ministry. In the case of Harak Singh, she's a minister in the Prime Minister's office, and John Paul, minister in my ministry. But in the case of Danny Butcher, he is a minister in Ministry of Education, but he has been given specific responsibilities. So his warrant identifies what he's responsible for. So Honorable Estefan and myself, we've had some preliminary discussion, and we will have an arrangement in terms of what he provides oversight to. There's a lot in that ministry, but we've set up a very good, template almost in terms of tourism, in terms of culture, in terms of creative industries. But we have some new challenges, in case of heritage. We need to focus on getting the National Museum going, the National Archives going. Those things are important aspects for our heritage. So we'll be working on those things. And like I said, creative industries will be a big issue for us. Community tourism, we really want to expand it. So he and I have a lot to do, and we'll sit down and work it out in terms of what he takes responsibility for and what I would be responsible for. And so we are discussing it right now. I can't give you the exact, understanding of how it's going to be done. But the one thing I have told him is that we'll be working very hard. There is no, in our ministry, there's no downtime. You work every day, and that's just how it is. And he's coming ready to work very hard. And his spirit is very good. His interest is excellent. And, I'm looking forward to working with him.
Okay. Anything else?
Yeah. On a very, very, very different note, what do you say to the suggestion that after the election, what should happen? So the suggestion is that there needs to be regulations, legislation with sanctions in place with regards banners, posters, paintings, the colors, because you would appreciate that during the election it makes for wonderful photos and video and excitement, but after the election it becomes an eyesore.
Yeah.
And we've seen over the years some of these posters and flags and banners stay up for the better part of 2-3 years. Almost. What do you say to legislation or regulations with sanction that suggests that within a week after the election they need to come down?
Well, I don't think we necessarily need to have legislation and sanction. I think we are mature in democracy, and that we should take it down. And I can tell you, in fact, it's been discussed now in terms of addressing that issue. And for my part, I cannot wait for me to, in my own constituency, to just take them down and just say, let's just get going. And I think most people feel the same way. Of course, we like to see the red flag flying high, but the point is, we need to just move on, and we've won that battle, and let's do the work and then come again in a few years' time. So I agree with you. We just need to clean up the country and, let's get going. Let's do the work that we have to do. So I don't think we need to have sanctions and legislation. As political parties, we just know we're supposed to do it. You will notice one thing for us in the Labour Party, we did not encourage the painting of the roads and walls and those things. We did not do it. There's nowhere in my constituency that I encouraged it or allowed it. The Prime Minister did not encourage it. And as a party, we did not encourage it. Anybody painting the walls. You will not see Labour Party, SLP. I'm not saying it doesn't exist anywhere, but I can tell you from my knowledge, and what I know was our official party position was that we will not encourage that. Kind of for some of the reasons that you spoke about. Some of those things just leave on, whatnot. We would much rather knowing that we just won all the seats and leave it at that, rather than having to have all the flags.
But you understand, though, that you're depending on individuals' good nature or good sense for it to come down. That has proven not to be the reality.
Well, the government has to do it. I mean, I'm hoping the Prime Minister will give us an allocation so we can employ people to go and take them down from this week itself. I'm hoping so. Because we have to do it. I mean, we just have to, as a country, just be mindful of those things, that there's a season for all things. That's why when you read some of the stuff in the post-election period, you're a little disappointed, like, come on. I mean, the die has been cast already, so let's just move on. There's nothing I think in politics that's worse than fighting yesterday's battles. When you think about it, the people is the court. That's where the judgments are made, and they've made their judgment. Don't go and fight yesterday's battle, for goodness sake. You lost that battle, Go in hibernation for a while and then come back again. But it doesn't always happen that way. So you still have to keep your guard up, and you still have to do what you have to do. But let's move on, and let's move forward together.
But it makes no sense fighting yesterday's battle, but you have, for now, a small group of people who are flirting with this notion that there might have been some fraud or election denialism going on. Yes, you have to move forward. But then when you come across, or if you come across someone who seems to be believing that, how do you navigate that situation?
Well, in a sense, it's kind of a new battle. It's not yesterday's battle because,
the election denialism.
Yeah, it's kind of a new battle. It's a very insidious and dangerous one because it undermines our confidence in our own democracy. One of the wonderful things about our democracy, and it's an amazing thing, by 8:30, 9 o'clock on election night, Philip JP knew he was going to continue to be Prime Minister. He knew that. There was no electoral commission that had to make any big declaration, whatnot. He knew it because our system has integrity, our system has processes. Once two agents sits there and the ballots are counted, and both of them agree to the counting with the presiding officer, that's it. The only thing that can be really reviewed is any rejected ballots. Where there is a rejection, there is not agreement in a sense on it. But once both parties agree on it, that's it, And by the time Philip JP knows what is happening all over the country, he knows he's going to remain Prime Minister, and life just continues. That's the democracy we have. So when all of a sudden you hear people starting to speak about electronic fraud, what electronic fraud in Central? We do it manually. People sit at a desk. And let me tell you, the polls close at 6 o'clock, By 7:30, I had agents leaving the station calling me and giving me the results of their boxes. That's it. That's our democracy. They have no electronic. They have nobody hacking, no computer and changing the figures. These people did it old school. 1, 2, 3, 4, cross. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's it. And both parties agreed to it. So when you hear people starting to say those things, it's undermining our own democratic process, our well-established, respected democratic processes. And that should be fought against under no uncertain terms. I think the media has a part to play in that, to say, look, we know the system we have in St. Lucia, and this is nonsense. Because if our people start questioning and doubting whether our system has integrity, everything starts to fall apart. And we shouldn't allow that to happen. We can disagree, we can argue, we can debate. One party can win, another one can win the next time, but we must all have faith in the process. And that, for me, is a different kind of battle. And that's a battle that has to be fought. To say to St. Lucians, have faith in our process. It has integrity. And like I said, the media can do their research. The media can go and find out and say to that, that's unacceptable. What electronic fraud in St. Lucia? Seriously. Think about it. What electronic fraud we have in St. Lucia?
Maybe it's counted and recorded on a computer.
But it's already counted and signed off before it goes onto the computer.
The agents would have had the numbers before it's
Trying to
digitized.
help the situation.
Yeah.
Because up to now, no agent on either side have come out to my mind to say, well, no, this is not the number that you gave up.
Precisely. So, I mean, that just cannot work. And if you say what the voters list is bad, well, we do need to verify the voters list. There are a lot of people on the voters list that now live overseas. Now, a lot of St. Lucians who are making those claims, they live overseas, huh? And some of them probably, if you stick to the law, and I'm not the authority on it, but from my knowledge, you can ask whether they should even be on the list. You can ask that question. And maybe we should sanitize the list in a sense, because there are a lot of people there who don't live in St. Lucia. But they still want the right to come and vote, in St. Lucia. But we must not, undermine confidence in that process, because it's a very sacred process. It's what gives us faith that the people's voices are heard and respected. And for anybody to try to undermine that is really, really reeking of desperation.
Do you expect the opposition now, or would you encourage them to at least do their part in downplaying that notion?
Well, I mean, I think the opposition, and it's not my business really to give them advice what to do, and if I should give them advice, it'd probably be for them to stay in opposition. But, they really should, get their act together. It just doesn't work, if what they try.
Okay, one more.
Sorry, Jerry.
One more to go. Jerry wants to go, but that's Jerry's business. You mentioned the media and the responsibilities of the media. But it seemed for successive governments,
Yeah.
SLP and UWP governments, there have been scant regard paid to the Ministry of Information with respect to the media workers, the media association, whatever media association there is.
Yeah, go on.
Yes, so, again, with regard to the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, where are we now?
Well, I must say, I'm kind of guilty. I was a minister for 4.5 years and did not achieve as much as I wanted to as it relates to information broadcasting. And I hope the new minister has a lot more success than I do. But the media is a really important part of that whole democratic process I'm talking about. And it's why, as a government, we've had an approach to the media which is one of absolute respect for the media. You would never have heard any of us abusing the media or calling the media workers any names or anything like that. We did have one, two skirmishes, you can imagine, particularly at a time when we felt the media was, almost collaborating with foreign interests that was, acting in a way inimical to the interests of our country. So we certainly had an issue with that, but it was still done in a sort of respectful kind of way. So the media has to be supported. And I think in the past, government has expressed its support for the media in media development activities and to make sure. But we cannot take over the media. We can become responsible for the media. From a legislative purpose point of view, I know there was draft legislation that had been circulated, discussed. Under my time, we did a review of it. We never took it to the media workers for completing the circle so it can go to Parliament. It's something that should be done, and I'm hoping the new minister has a lot more success than I did in that regard. But the media is a strange, construct in many ways, a very strange construct, because it also has to be viable for media houses and for media workers. And you find media workers sometimes find more attractive offerings in the public sector. Sometimes some of the best known, I'm not calling anybody's name, but they have people who have spent many years and then they get offerings in the public sector or with statutory or the private sector. Apart from media houses, they work for companies and whatnot. So how do you make the career of a media practitioner even more lucrative and more exciting that persons will want to go into it and choose it as a career to be in public media space as against going and work for a company doing communications and PR, or going to work for a statutory board, or even going and work in the Prime Minister's office or in some other ministry. And these are serious questions, serious questions that you want to ask in terms of professionals and their development. How do you continue to ensure? Because the media must continue to exist, and they must perform their role for the democracy to be strengthened. I don't have the answers. I'm not a media person, but for me, those things jump at me.
Final question.
Good afternoon. All right, most likely the final minister will be the Prime Minister to address you on his first cabinet meeting into this first or new administration. Okay, Mr. Prime Minister.
Thank you very much, Riani. First of all, I want to thank you for joining us. I want also to thank the public of St. Lucia for the overwhelming mandate that they gave us on the 1st of December. We are very fortunate that the people of St. Lucia have expressed such confidence in us. Our government has blazed the trail in terms of records. It's the first party that has won 2 consecutive elections since the year 2021. The last party to do that was the St. Lucia Labour Party when we won in 1997, and we won again in 2001. We are the first party to have done that. We are also the first party to have increased its majority, both the majority of the popular vote and majority of seats in Parliament. And this is a major responsibility and a show of confidence that the people have put in us. And we intend to do exactly what the people requested of us. Good government, inclusive government, a government for the people. This year, our priorities are going to be basically the same in terms of the unfinished projects. In terms of infrastructure, the work on the Iwanora International Airport Terminal is going to continue. And I say that because I want to inform you that work on the air traffic control tower is happening as we speak. And work on the terminal, we've done it the right way. We've done it for an international tender. It's an international tender, and these tender documents have been opened and they're being evaluated right now. So the tender is going to it's a very transparent process. No direct awards. It's a major infrastructural project, so we went international. I understand that there was quite a bit of interest, and we await the decision of the Tenders Board of SLASPA, and work will start on the Unera International Airport Terminal early in the new year. Work will also continue on the improvement on the runway and the airside features. That's going to happen again. That's going to continue in the year 2026. As far as other infrastructure projects are concerned, work on the Grosley-Castries Highway is going to continue. Again, the consultants, the engineering work is being done, and very soon tenders are going to go out for contractors. Funding has been secured, so we expect work on the Grosley-Castries Highway to start in the first 3 months of next year. In terms of St. Jude Hospital the building has been completed, commissioning is taking place, artistic equipment is being put in, and the full commission of the hospital will end most likely in the first 3 months of next year, when all sectors of the hospital will move towards a new building. Right now, some are there, the laundry, the administrative office, psychotherapy, but the entire hospital hopefully will be moved there in the first 3 months of next year. Equipment is been put in, and the hospital is fit for purpose, and we are very pleased that that's going to be happening. The House of Justice project is continuing. Work is going on in the House of Justice project, and we think that there'll be 2 years of construction, and the House of Justice should be ready by the year 2027. I don't know how many of you visited the Grosley and the Northern headquarters with me. That's going to be, the police will move in that building in the first quarter of next year. The construction on the extension to the school buildings, by September, the new school term, all these buildings should be complete, and students should be enjoying these new premises. You may recall that we spoke about building the fifth finger of the OKU hospital. I've been informed by the board that work is progressing in terms of the plans, etc., and we think work should start on that fifth wing again in the first quarter or the first 6 months of next year. These are the public sector projects that are ongoing. Work on the police headquarters, we're going to be going out for that. The Beaufort Administrative Building, the Sufra Administrative Building, that these are work in progress that we're going to start next year, first 3 months or first 6 months of next year. Work on the Sufra Elderly Home is going to commence again in the first half of next year. These are public sector investments. In terms of the private sector, the Alia Hotel work, you must have been briefed by the Minister of Tourism on the private sector investment projects. That's where we are in terms of in terms of social policy. You may have noted in my cabinet composition, I have included a Minister of Continuing Education or Special Education, of Continuing Education, and for early childhood. We're going to take some concrete steps towards universal early childhood education. In the budget, some concrete steps are taken, and we hope that every child will have the opportunity of getting a free early childhood education in the soonest possible time. And the process is starting, and that is on the front burner of the government. Digital transformation is another topic that we are working on. We're working on. There's also a minister in charge of digital transformation. So you'll see in my cabinet composition, I've made some changes, I've made some shifts, and we've included some young, new talent. The Minister of Agriculture has been given the portfolio of climate change, which is to create a synergy between climate change and agriculture and food production. We've also included a subject area called nutrition, because I've said before that a lot of the illnesses can be avoided, the non-communicable diseases can be avoided, and this is why we've had a minister of nutrition, so that can link with the school feeding program, etc., with the linkage between agriculture and tourism, and in terms of what we eat, what our children eat, what we consume, etc. So we have created that linkage. So I'm very excited about the new term, and again I want to thank the Republic of St. Lucia. I also want to use that opportunity again to congratulate the former leader of the opposition for winning his seat, and it must have been a feat to be the only one to win a seat, and I want to congratulate him on doing that. I want to invite him to be part of the processes of government, so to stay in Parliament and have discussions, and then we will respect the right of the minority. The leader of the opposition has been allowed all the protocols of the leader of the opposition. He's going to be allowed all the protocols, his security, his driver, his vehicle, all the protocols of a leader of the opposition. This government, I am going to ensure that it happens. We are not in the business of removing privileges from opposition figures. We are not doing that. The leader of the opposition will be allowed all the privileges, all the protocol arrangements for the leader of the opposition, because we believe that a democracy is necessary, and an opposition in a democracy is also necessary. We're also going to ask the Parliament to elect the Honorable Alfred Prosper to be Deputy Speaker, again keeping with the dictates of the Constitution. It wasn't a very easy decision. Honorable Prosper has been a very good Minister of Agriculture. It wasn't an easy decision to make, but we had to have the discipline and the principle to see that the Speaker, Deputy Speaker, must not be a Minister or Parliamentary Secretary. We are dealing with that issue in the courts, because, as you know, the opposition challenged it. So when that happens, we'll consider Mr. Prosper back in the cabinet. I want to thank him for the work he did in the Ministry of Agriculture, and show the signs of his statesmanship to willingly accept my nomination for him to be Deputy Speaker. So, as I said, I'm very optimistic about the new year. There are downside risks. I spoke out of the downside risks: climate change, hurricanes, downside risks. I also spoke about the human development. There's going to be a concerted effort in this budget to ensure that we do not allow the frustration to enter into our young men. We want our young men to be part of the society. You're going to be some targeted programs towards young men, targeted programs. I've had discussions with the management of CARE. You think CARE is a very worthwhile institution, and we're going to partner with them to see how we can go forward. And so I want to thank you, members of the press. Sometimes you've not been very kind to me, but this is part of my job. I want to thank you for a job well done. I think our democracy is alive and kicking. I want to tell you that I always enjoy gentle banter. Sometimes we've got so rigid in this country that we can't even make a joke. And anytime you make a joke, people take it in all kinds of ways. This country belongs to all of us. The people have spoken. The people have spoken in no uncertain terms. They've not only spoken in terms of seats, they've spoken in terms of votes. The Labour Party increased its majority. So the people have decided that they want the Labour Party to govern this country. So let's accept it. let's work together, let's accept it, and let's move on. Right? As far as I'm concerned, I want a healthy democracy. I want healthy debate. I want healthy discussion, as far as I'm concerned. My government will be inclusive. My government will practice no intimidation. My government will practice no victimization. My government will work to the benefit of the people of this country.
Prime Minister, one of the issues, no VAT day, where are we with that?
The cabinet just approved the no VAT day. The legislative process will happen tomorrow. Tomorrow is the official opening of the 14th Parliament, and tomorrow is happening at 10 o'clock with the official opening of the Parliament, and the House of Assembly will meet in the afternoon to go for the legislative processes of a no VAT day, and the Senate will meet on Wednesday to complete the process, because as you know, we cannot amend VAT unless there's a legislative approval. So that's going to happen on Wednesday, and the date will be announced at that time. Tomorrow in the Parliament, I'll announce the date, because we have some administrative procedures or processes to complete. But as we promised you a no VAT day, I know some people were skeptical about our no VAT day, but this government, when we make our promises, we keep it.
In that one, have you consultation with the chamber and hoping that the private sector will be on board with this?
Oh yes, we've had discussions with the private sector. Up to this morning, discussions are continuing in the private sector, and we are hoping these discussions are continuing. And again, the Chamber of Commerce has worked with us. You know, you've seen some reductions in the price of food in the supermarket. Many people have noted that to me. I was very pleased when some people noted to me that the cost of certain goods in the supermarket had reduced, and that was because we removed VAT, zero-rated a lot of these items, and the Chamber worked with us. You see, we want to work in the Chamber, we want to work with the trade unions. This country must be inclusive. There's no need for conflict. We'll share different opinions, but this is one St. Lucia. We have enough downside risk already. We have enough issues to deal with that we have no control over. So what we have control over, let's have dialogue, let's have discussion, let's have consensus. There's no need for us to be at each other. And as far as I'm concerned, my government will be a government of inclusivity. My government is a government of consensus. In fact, I've even put conflict resolution in one of the subject areas of one of my ministers, because we need to take this country, as I said, to a new ethos. I want in 2026 for us to have a different feel. Too much of that feel is being fueled by bitterness, by anger, by misinformation, by I want to get you. I would like if we can change that. We can't agree on everything. We cannot agree on everything. But let's not be bitter and etc. I really hope 2026 will be a different year.
From me, what would you want to do in your first 100 days as you know it? What's your priority for the first 100 days?
I told you earlier that in our first 100 years, we hope to be able to fully commission, and I'll be careful about that, but fully commission St. Jude Hospital. But again, that depends on supply chain, on equipment coming in. These are the main things that we have no concern about. Now, the world we live in is very difficult to target things as definite, because there are so many things you have no control over. So many things. You look at what's happening with the oil industry. The price of oil may go up. May go up in ways that you would imagine. That's not something you can plan for. So we have to understand that when you target 100 days, I can tell you, another thing I forgot is housing projects. The Rockall housing is going to start in January. The Talvan housing, something that many people have escaped. Work is going on there. Construction will, by the first quarter of 2026, we should actually see the house going up, the structures going up, all the preliminary work is being done. So in the first 100 days, I hope to get the grocery headquarters going. I hope to get all the preliminary work on the grocery highway started in the first 100 days.
Any other questions? Prime Minister, I guess lastly, concerning the dynamics of the Office of the Prime Minister with now Dr. Chandelier harassing in there now, what would that arrangement be like going forward?
Dr. Chandelier basically replaces Mr. Wayne Gerard. But the difference is Wayne Gerard is a finance man, he's a finance, so he had specific responsibility for economic development in my ministry. Dr. Harrison is a minister in my ministry, full-fledged cabinet in my ministry, but I will be given her responsibilities as time goes.
Prime Minister, Christmas season is there. What would you like to tell us, Lucia?
Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas. Let's enjoy ourselves. I want them to watch your consumption of alcohol, be careful on the roads. I must note, there's been a decrease in fatalities as far as road accidents are concerned. We can have knock on wood. We can't be thinking about it. I want them to continue. Let's enjoy ourselves. Watch what we drink. Let's not overdo it. Let's enjoy ourselves. It's a beautiful country, you know. Beautiful. I mean, look at that. What countries have such smooth elections? No one gets injured. We have to respect our democracy. We are respecting the way people can say whatever they want in it. Even with results that they can see, they still say whatever they want. That's our democracy. So during the campaign, I spoke about love. I love St. Lucians. We are special, we are unique people. You understand? And during the campaign, you saw that uniqueness. You saw that love that St. Lucians have for each other. So let's enjoy ourselves with moderation, and let's look for a very exciting 2026. Very exciting. We just hope that the weather, climate change doesn't affect us, because everything we do can be wiped out. Everything we do. That's the major downside risk, and we hope our citizen security on this level. We've seen a decrease in crime this year. Factual. That doesn't mean that we are happy. That doesn't mean that we've solved our problems. That doesn't mean there are not issues as far as crime is concerned. But statistically, up to now, that's glass, not wood, right? Up to now, we have seen a decrease in crime, up to now. Go to the objection. The police force, only last month, we increased the technology available for them. They have a crime management system, technologically driven. So we've given them that. We give them the headquarters. In the court system, we begin the halls of justice. We hope we can continue. But there is still an unacceptable level as far as citizen security is concerned. But we're getting there.
I guess there's nothing else. Minister Gillette addressed the issue, but I thought as the head man, I should pose the question again with regards to media. So in successive governments, we've seen something of scant regard paid to the media and the Media Association and Information and Broadcasting Ministry. That I think has been assigned to Mr. King. What are the plans, if there are any, with regards to media, and what do you want to see happen with regards to media? I know you suggested that you have had some turbulent times with the media, but I think if I am to speak, I think you have enjoyed a very calm environment.
Yeah, because I've tried my best to be calm. No, I'm seriously. That's a good question you ask. But the question is, how far do you want government to get involved with the media? That's a very serious question, I mean, remember sometimes Kenny Anthony invited the media to his home for a drink, and there's some people who said that we were trying to buy them. Yeah, I don't remember that. You don't remember that. Yeah. So the question is, how far do you get? Because people believe that the media must be adversary, that there must be adversary between the media and the government. I think some people believe that that must be a natural thing. Like somebody, I report you to the media. Yes, sir. But so for me as a politician, as a prime minister, I respect the media, but I don't even know whether what must I do. So if there's a media association, I want it to be autonomous. I want it to be. But what I do not want, what I worry about, is when we pretend to be media and be politicians. That's what concerns me. I don't mind Fox Radio, they say they're right wing. So anytime you open Fox, you know you're talking about people who support the Republican Party, they're right wing. You go to MSNBC, they are Democrats. Then you go to ABC, they more moderate, but leaning towards the Democrats. But what I don't like is the pretense that we're not political. I don't mind if a media man raises hand and says to me, I support the United Workers' Party. I support the United Workers' Party, I'll push the United Workers' Party's programs. I have no problem with that. But do not criticize another man that says, I support the Labour Party. Don't call him a yard power and a hack and these kind of things. That is my problem, my issue. But the media, as far as I'm concerned, the media in St. Lucia has been, I don't think the government should give the media an environment. The environment should be there for the media to enjoy. So I have a problem with people saying that what is the government doing for the media? When it comes to training, yes. When it comes to legislation discussion, but you remember 361? Remember what happened to 361? Right. That was hoping that what the Prime Minister was hoping for, he was giving the media an environment. And look at what happened. This Prime Minister is not making that mistake. But I think that the media, what is maybe concerning to some people, is when the media masquerades as being impartial and they're not. I think that's the issue. When they masquerade and then all the signs are there on one side of the fence. But a lot of people on one side and a lot of media on one side. Let the democracy prevail in the media if that's what the media wants. But do not criticize one set of people because you call them hacks and surrogates of the government because you believe they're pushing the government's line. That's my only concern. But I'm willing, we have a new minister, to talk to the media about training. I mean, the media, we want to invite me to come and talk, but again, we invite me to come in first, they say we're buying them. You understand? When I was Minister of Tourism, I brought the media to Atlanta with me and things, so people said I was trying to buy the media. You understand? Because people believe that the media must attack the government. People believe that. That's not it. But so, in terms of cooperation, working the media, I am very happy to do it. There's a new minister, he has a mandate, and training, legislation, etc. But the media also has a responsibility to call everybody out. Everybody out. Because there are some things that are said in this country that are blatant lies, proven lies. But this must be called out. It's not only the government that has to account, you know. A lot of people say only the Prime Minister, that must be a law, that must be a law. Every public figure must be called to account. I mean, certain things that are clear, they repeated. No one says that's not true. I can give you several examples. And sometimes you even report it. What's obviously not true. That's your job, I respect it. But I think that's what we need to let the media bring truth to power, especially when the truth is there for everyone to see.
Yeah, I think Ryan just wanted to know if you're going to give us a pension.
Give the media subvention.
Yeah,
If I do that, I bind.
The subvention existed.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, once upon a time, there was a subvention once upon a time.
Was
$12,000 a year.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
We can bring it back.
With that.
So it existed, one payment was made, one was pending.
No, because I think because we got criticized. I think that's why. I think they said we were buying the media.
No,
Well,
there was
we can discuss that privately, but there was another
That's one of the
issue.
media said that wasn't great.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah. Remember that? Yeah.
I remember the accountability.
Yeah.
I remember.
But they're looking to double that 12,000.
Absolutely.
And another issue is the issue of special education. We're going to put special emphasis on special education there and support for the differently able. We're going to have a special intervention because we had a meeting. In fact, the forum had a meeting with people who have issues of hearing, and they were told they treated so badly because they're not people. There is no one understands that they have hearing issues. Yeah, hearing impaired. So we have to find a way to see about these people. We have to. I don't know if it's they were talking about giving them something to show, but you don't want to show your disability. So we have to find a way to work with these people. We have to find a way to work with this because a number of people are becoming differently able, and people. We have to work with them and stop making them believe that they have to make a contribution. They have to make, and they can make meaningful contributions to our country. That's in the emphasis. Education, special education. Thank you.
All right.